With the release of Vegas Pro 11, the stereoscopic 3D editing tools continue to develop. In this video, I'll talk about a few new features that give you even more control over your 3D project edits. First, we've added controls that enable you to effectively deal with edge violations. An edge violation occurs when a video clip contains a prominent subject that is placed in front of the screen depth and is simultaneously cut off by the edge of the video frame. This creates a situation where the viewer's brain receives conflicting depth cues from the video. Because the object is placed in front of screen depth, the viewer sees the object as closer in the 3D field. However, because the object also touches the screen edge, the brain reasons that it must be at or behind screen depth, otherwise why would it get cut off by the edge of the screen? These conflicting signals make the shot difficult to view. My project video window shows an example of such an edge violation. You can see by the red and cyan images that I've set my preview properties to anaglyphic red-cyan mode. If you have a pair of anaglyphic red-cyan 3D glasses, put them on. Notice that the man in the picture is placed in front of screen depth in the 3D field. At the same time, however, he's obviously being cut off by the edge of the screen, causing an edge violation. You likely notice that the image is a bit difficult to view. It sort of makes your eyes go wonky and your head spin. That's the edge violation doing its nasty business. With Vegas Pro 11, we can rectify this unpleasant situation. We've added a new section to the stereoscopic 3D adjust filter that you can use to make corrections to your 3D footage as well as adjust the horizontal offset that creates the 3D effect. To see the new controls, add the stereoscopic 3D adjust filter to a 3D clip in your project and click the Floating Windows drop-down arrow. In the case of my video, the edge violation occurs on the right edge of the frame, and I'll proceed as if yours does too. Look at the preview with your anaglyphic red-cyan glasses on. Close your right eye so that you see only the red signal. Make note of what you see at the right edge of the frame. Now switch to viewing with just your right eye. Now you see only the cyan signal. Again, make note of what you see on the edge of the frame. You'll notice that you see more of the man's head and back when you view with the right eye than you do with the left eye. This difference is the parallax offset between the views, and it indicates that the man is in front of the screen. However, if the man were really floating in front of the screen, he wouldn't be more visible in one eye than the other. Because the screen edge has zero parallax, this puts it at screen depth. This is the source of the depth conflict, and is what causes the problem. By making the screen edge have the same parallax as the image, we remove this depth conflict. Adjust the right control of the floating windows section in the stereoscopic 3D adjust filter. In the video preview window, you see that as you increase the value of the right setting, you eliminate the edge of the cyan video stream so that it no longer touches the edge of the screen. As a starting point, increase the value until the edge of the cyan stream shows the same video as the edge of the red stream. Alternate closing each eye in order to see this change in the video preview window. As you get more familiar with this tool, you can adjust the amount from there to get exactly what you want. With your 3D glasses off, you can very plainly see the strip along the edge where just the red stream shows. With your 3D glasses on, the strip looks black. It may not seem like it now because you're intently focused on what's happening, but this solves the edge violation issue. When your viewer watches this video, they won't even notice this adjustment. That is, unless they're specifically looking for it. In fact, this technique is used all the time, even in your favorite 3D Hollywood blockbusters. Next time you're at the theater, pay attention to the edges of the screen without your 3D glasses on and see for yourself. Of course, if you have an edge violation on the left edge of your video, you can solve the problem in the same way with the left control. You can adjust these floating windows from scene to scene in your video, and even animate them over time if necessary. In addition to this great 3D workflow enhancement, we've added 3D adjustment controls to the cookie cutter filter and the cross effect and iris transitions. Let's take a look at how these work. This portion of my project uses the iris transition to move from one 3D clip to another. I'll place the cursor within the transition at a point before the iris circle touches the woman sitting on the grass. With your 3D glasses on, notice that the circle created by the iris seems to be placed deeper into the screen than the sitting woman. If the circle were larger, it seems that the sitting woman would be in front of it. So far, so good, because the circle seems to also sit logically in front of the buildings in the background. Everything's comfortable and everyone's happy. But now I'll reposition the cursor to a point after it's progressed enough that the circle partially covers the sitting woman. Now we have a problem, because while we were expecting the circle to go behind the sitting woman, it instead covers her. Again, the viewer's brain receives conflicting 3D depth cues, and it's difficult to make sense of the image. To solve this problem, we've added a stereoscopic 3D depth slider to the iris and cross-effect transitions. Slide it to the left to give it a negative value. This brings the circle out toward the viewer. Now that I've made this adjustment, I'll reposition my cursor to a point before the circle touches the sitting woman. Now the circle looks like it's closer to the viewer than the sitting woman, so the viewer's brain logically expects the circle to cover her. Since this is exactly what happens when the transition progresses, the sequence works beautifully. The cookie cutter filter exhibits a similar issue, and the solution is much the same. In this section of my project, a couple in the park video walk toward the inset of the woman created by the cookie cutter filter. With your 3D glasses on, it's plain to see that the couple will walk in front of the inset picture. But in fact, as you could see when I moved the cursor ahead in the video several frames, since the inset woman is on the top track with the cookie cutter applied, the couple in the park walks behind the inset image. Once again, the viewer's brain receives conflicting depth cues, and this video doesn't work. To fix this, adjust the stereoscopic 3D depth slider in the cookie cutter filter to the left. This brings the inset image closer to the viewer in front of screen depth. Now, when I position the cursor so that the couple has not yet reached it, you can see that the people look like they'll walk behind the inset. And since that's exactly what they do when I move forward in the timeline, once again, the 3D scene is rescued and everyone's happy. Each of these new tools gives you more control over your project when you work in 3D. As you've seen here, they help solve problems of conflicting depth cues that make your 3D movies unpleasant to view. In addition, you can also use these tools for creative effects. And you can animate all of their parameter settings over time to create the corrections and effects you're after. Thus, they make editing 3D projects even more powerful with Vegas Pro 11.